everybody, my name is Chandler. I'm making a video today on the NCLEX and how I studied for it and how I passed it. It's been a while since I've made a video. This will be my second video, so that's really exciting. My first video, if you want to go back and watch that, was on like me getting accepted into nursing school and kind of how that process went. It was very exciting for me, and so it's kind of full circle to like come back and be making a video on this topic. I felt like I'd never get to this point, so I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I did to prepare for the NCLEX and some study methods that I use, all of which I feel are really common, a lot of people have done, but I feel like these videos are really helpful. I know that before I prepared to start studying for the NCLEX, I watched a lot of videos to kind of see where everyone's head was, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, so I always found these helpful. And then I also will talk about the NCLEX a little bit, not too much, just kind of, I feel like kind of knowing what you're going into is very helpful. So I have my computer here with all my notes to kind of put in order what I want to talk about, because oftentimes I can go on a tangent. So hopefully this will help me not make the video so long. Okay, so the first thing. So the NCLEX, if you don't know what that is, if you're watching this video and you're a nursing student, you probably know what it is, or maybe you are about to enter into the nursing field, like maybe you're about to transition, you're doing your prereqs and you're about to prepare to start applying to nursing schools or things like that. Either way, the NCLEX is the state board exam that you have to take after you graduate from nursing school to actually get your license to become a registered nurse. Basically, nursing school prepares you for that exam to be able to succeed in that. The HESIs that we take at the end of each semester is supposed to prepare us for that exam, and yeah, it's a very big deal in the nursing community. It takes a lot of preparing, it takes a lot of planning, and it can be very intimidating, but I don't want that to intimidate anyone. Like, I felt intimidated, obviously, coming into nursing school at all is an intimidating experience, especially for someone like me who doesn't really have a ton of healthcare experience outside of nursing school. Like, before I even started nursing school, I didn't have that experience. So coming into a place where like everything is completely new to you, you're literally learning everything from scratch almost, it can be a lot. And so preparing for an exam this big that means so much for you can be a lot, but I don't want anybody to fret or worry. I have a few tips here that I hope will help you out. And yeah, so what I did to prepare for the exam, there are 3 particular resources that I used to ensure that I covered all my bases. So I'll be talking about those 3 resources. I'll also be talking about how I scheduled, like what my schedule looked like, where I studied, questions I did, and then, like I said before, a little bit on the NCLEX. So the 3 resources I used were UWorld, Mark K, or Mark Klimek, I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but I call him Mark K, and the Saunders book. So the first one, UWorld. UWorld is a resource that a lot of people know of. If you are in nursing school, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's very popular. It has really, really great reviews. People who use it usually do really well on the NCLEX after they've used the website. And it's basically a resource that allows you to do a bunch of practice questions. You can do self-assessment tests to kind of see your likelihood of passing, and a Q bank full of questions. My school provided the resource to us. However, I know that most schools don't do that. Like, usually the student has to pay for that on their own. Our school did provide us a resource. We were able to get it through our school. There's UWorld, and then Mark K is, he's a teacher who does lectures on the NCLEX. He used to write questions for the NCLEX. You can watch these videos on YouTube for free. There's a total of 12 of them. They're about an hour long. The longest one is the last one, which is about 2 hours long. And that's a free resource to use. You can also listen to them on Spotify. These are the notes that I got from him. And then he also has like the workbook notes that you can download as well. If you're not interested in like spending a ton of money, because UWorld is a pretty expensive resource, but I totally believe it's worth it. I would have bought UWorld if I didn't get it through my school. And then the last one is the Saunders book. This is mine. This is the new edition one. or the most recent edition, I believe. It is the comprehensive review for the NCLEX exam. And I didn't really read or relearn any content. I just pretty much use this book for the questions. But if you are someone who feels like you actually need to read content, this is a great resource for that because it's all in one place. So with these resources, like I said, I only use these 3. I didn't use anything else because I just felt like oftentimes it can be really overwhelming if you have a bunch of resources. And as you know, in nursing school, like sometimes ranges, like lab values may be different, or maybe one book says one thing about a disease process that another book completely contradicts. So I just felt like I wanted to stick to 3 things. They all state the same things. Whatever Mark K said in his videos, it correlated with what was in the book and what was on New-World. So those are the 3 resources that I used. I think that they're really, really great resources. Out of the 3, obviously New-World is the most expensive. The book is the second most expensive, and then Mark K is free. The next thing I want to talk about is like scheduling. I think it's so important to like schedule, like before you even start studying. Take some time to actually schedule like what you want your days to look like, because that's something that you can look at and kind of have an idea of how you want things to go. So I kind of just decided that Monday through Friday, I was gonna study every day. And initially I was planning on only studying for 4 weeks or a month and then taking my NCLEX. However, my school sent out our ATTs a little bit later than we were expecting to get them out. I ended up having to wait another week. So I ended up studying a total of 5 weeks, which was fine. It turned out fine. That extra week allows me to finish the entire Q bank in New-World. And I'm happy that I have 5 weeks instead of 4. So my schedule, I have these post-its here. I have a few of them, and they're just all the number of questions that I did each day of the week. My plan was to Monday through Sunday always do questions, but Monday through Friday I was supposed to do a minimum of 100 questions, where Saturday and Sunday I only did 50 questions a day. So Monday I would do a minimum of 100 questions, Tuesday a minimum of 100, so on and so forth. But Saturday and Sunday I would do 50 questions. My minimum was 100. I can always go above 100, but I expected of myself to do at least 100 questions. So for example, the first week that I started studying, I did 160 questions. Tuesday I did 120. Wednesday I did 145. Thursday 151. And then Friday I did 50 because Saturday was Christmas. So Friday was Christmas Eve, so I just did 50. Saturday was Christmas, I didn't do any questions. And then Sunday I did 50. And of course this like changed throughout the weeks. Like some weeks I didn't do that many questions. I was a little exhausted. Like by the 4th week, I was doing maybe 75 minimum a day as opposed to 100. But I ended up still, being able to complete the Q bank. But it's going to look different every day. You don't have to follow the schedule to a T exactly all the time. But I think it is helpful to have something in place to help you kind of like figure out how you want to do things. So that's one part of the schedule, is finding out how many questions a day you want to do, because I feel like that's the most important form of studying you can honestly do. Exposing yourself to as many NCLEX style questions as you can and reading the rationales behind those questions, whether you got it right or wrong, is like the best thing you could do for the NCLEX. If you don't have time to do anything else, if you don't have time to read content, watch lecture videos, if you do that, I feel like you can still succeed. I incorporated my Mark K videos in. So there are a total of 12 videos. So I did one video a day, and I did not watch videos on the weekends. I only did questions on the weekends. And like I said, I only did 50 questions on the weekends. I would start by 50 random questions, and I would do like questions on every subject matter, like all subjects. And then I would watch a Mark K video, and then I would do 50 questions specific to that video that I watched. And then Tuesday, I would do the NCLEX book. I would find questions in the video that I watched the day before related to that video. I would find questions in this book. Do however many I could find in here for that. Sometimes it ranged from like 20 to 60. Like it could be any amount, just however many was in here. And then I would do 50 random questions again, like all subjects. and then I would watch the second Mark K video, and then I would do 50 questions on the Mark K video that I just watched. And that was my routine every day. So then the next day, I would do however many questions from the second video that I watched, 50 random ones, Mark K video, 50 questions related to the Mark K video, if that makes sense. So I feel like that system really works for me. I did not use this book for content, like I said. I didn't actually read anything. I just used it to do questions. But like I said, if you want to do content, I think that would work. So that was my day. I started at 10 a.m. every day, or most days, and then I would finish around 2 p.m. And I always went, this is another thing, location is the other thing I wanted to talk about. So of course you can study at home. I don't see anything wrong with studying at home. I personally felt like I needed to leave my house, and of course there were some days where I didn't feel like leaving. There was actually one whole week where I didn't leave at all. I still studied, but I just stayed at home. But I felt it was important for me to like get out of my home. So I would actually go to the library every day for the most part, and I would go at 10 because that's when it opens, and by the time I finished everything that I was doing, it would be 2:40 something, so I was able to go home at that time, and I would relax the rest of the day. Or if I felt like I needed to do more questions, like random areas, I would do like short little quizzes of 20 questions each. So like I would do, if I wanted to come home and I wasn't tired and I felt like I could do more questions, then I would do 20 questions on a specific area, 20 more questions on a specific area until I got tired and didn't want to do it anymore. Like I said, you don't have to leave, but if you're someone like me who gets a little distracted or needs a change of scenery, I think that definitely helps. Let's talk about the day leading up to the NCLEX. So I was pretty calm. I'm a pretty anxious person. That's just like my personality trait that I have. I definitely get anxiety and feel nervous and think of the worst case scenario every time, especially in nursing school. Like I really struggled with that. However, preparing for the NCLEX, those 5 weeks that I was studying, I was so calm. I was not really anxious. I wasn't really nervous. I didn't really think about the NCLEX that much. Like I knew I was studying for the NCLEX, but I didn't feel anxious. Like I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't until the day before the NCLEX that I literally panicked and freaked out. Like, oh my God, what if I'm not ready? This could happen. Anything could happen. And I kind of had a lot writing on it. I already had a nurse residency lined up. And I know there are a few positions where if you don't pass the NCLEX, they allow you to still work with your graduate nurse permit until you pass it. But my residency specifically said that we had to pass our NCLEX to work there. So that was like some pressure. And they sent that message out like maybe a week before I took my NCLEX. So I was like, okay, there's a lot going on. And it was very stressful. But that day I just tried to, the day before, which was a Thursday, I scheduled my NCLEX for Friday the 21st of December. I graduated December 10th. So, and I didn't start studying until December 20th. And then my NCLEX was scheduled on the 21st of January, sorry, not Friday. So yeah, that's how my schedule went. And that day before, that Thursday, I was pretty nervous, but I just tried to calm down, relax. I did a few practice questions. By that point, I had finished the Q bank, so I looked at some of the questions I got wrong and read the rationales, tried to see if I can get them right this time around. I did the 2 self-assessments that my Q comes with. I got the package with 2 self-assessments and then the Q bank. So the first assessment I did the very first day I started studying, that Monday, and then the second self-assessment I did on the Wednesday before the week of my NCLEX. So Wednesday I did my second self-assessment, then there was Thursday, and then my NCLEX was on Friday. So both of my self-assessments said I had a very high chance of passing. So that gave me some comfort. And yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the NCLEX now. So I can't really go into detail, obviously, about the questions or anything like that, but I did get 145 questions. And one thing I want to say about the NCLEX is you need to go in with the mentality that you're going to get the maximum amount of questions. if you go in thinking that you're supposed to only get 75, and if you're not getting 75, if it goes past that, you think you're failing, you're going to become anxious and you're not going to do well on the other questions because you're already thinking the worst case scenario. Luckily for me, I had watched the Mark K videos. He had mentioned that like having that mentality, you need to go in thinking you'll get more. And a lot of other people that I've watched stated that you should also, you know, go in thinking you'll get more. So I was not expecting to get 75 questions. I didn't go in thinking I would get 75. When I did get to 75, of course, I was like, oh, I wonder if it'll shut off. But when it didn't shut off, I didn't like panic. I was just like, okay, it didn't shut off, whatever. So it kept going. I will say though, when it got to like 98, I was like, okay, this is a lot. But I wasn't panicked about that. I did become pretty restless. You do get an opportunity to take breaks for the exam. Like you can, I think it's every 2 hours. However, like scheduled breaks are every 2 hours. However, you can raise your hand and get up whenever you want. I was in there long enough to make the first scheduled break, like, so your computer shows that it's time for a break. I did not take a break at that time. I waited, I think, a few more questions because I thought I was going to be able to keep going, but I honestly was getting a little tired. So I ended up taking a break, but when I came back, I can't remember what question number I was on. But when I came back, I was pretty much done. Like, I had a few more questions left and I was done. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter how many questions you end up getting. If you pass, great for you. And if you didn't make it this time, that's also okay. You still have another opportunity to do it. I know that sucks and you don't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that. Like, I wouldn't want to hear that. But I know that feeling of failing because I did fail my med-surg course. So I know exactly what it feels like to go through something and then find out you didn't make it and to have to redo something. So I understand that feeling completely. However, you know, just be positive and just don't panic about the number of questions you get. That's not important. So I had like a ton of select all that apply questions. I literally felt like half of my test was select all that apply, and it was a ton of prioritization questions. So they specifically stated what's the priority, and then they also had a bunch of questions that said which what would you do first, and a lot actually that said which patient would you see first. So if it says first in it, you know that those are priority questions. I had a ton of those. So based off of what I had read before taking the exam, I kind of figured I was doing well because I was like, okay, everyone says that if you get a lot of select all that apply and priority, those are more of the more difficult level T questions. So I'm probably like, that probably means I'm doing well. However, I will say that the exam did not feel like very difficult for me. I literally thought I failed by the end of it because I was like, it never got hard. Like, and I know that this exam is meant to get harder and harder as you go along. And I never felt like it got harder. And I feel like saying that makes me sound like kind of obnoxious. Like, oh, I didn't think the test was hard. I'm not trying to say that at all. I don't know anyone going in thinking the test is not hard. I'm not going to say it was very easy or anything like that, but I didn't feel like it got to the difficult level that I was expecting it to get to based off of what everyone was saying. Everyone was saying that you get to a point and you're like, I have no idea. And I just never got to that point. But I feel like that's very subjective. What's difficult to me may not be difficult to someone else and vice versa. So that's just how I felt about the exam. I did do the Pearson VUE trick. I do not recommend doing the Pearson VUE trick because you have to wait at least 2 days before you can get your results. You could also just wait and see if your license number is posted on the Board of Nursing, but you know, it's up to you what you want to do. I decided to just pay for the quick results. They're only $8. Another thing, I did not tell anyone that I was taking the exam. Like, of course everyone in my family knew that I had an exam to take. I just didn't tell them when. So I scheduled it and I kept it to myself, which was very hard for me because I tell my family everything. I tell them when I'm going to do an exam. Usually, or when I'm taking, like in nursing school, I always said when I had an exam coming up, so they always knew. So that was definitely hard to keep to yourself, but a lot of people said that you shouldn't tell anyone. So it's like, I'm definitely gonna do that. I don't need the extra stress. That's the video. I hope that everybody who is preparing for the NCLEX, or I hope you're all doing amazing. You're gonna do amazing. You're gonna do great. If you are scheduling the NCLEX soon, you guys have any questions or want me to talk about anything else, I'll be so happy to do that. I know I feel like when I say that, it's kind of weird because like I have maybe 5 subscribers, so I don't know, but whoever watches this video, if it's just one person, great. If you have a question or you want to say hi, do that below in the comments. I would love to say hi back. I may do